Hello, phnxj here, y'all, for another one. And it is Fragrance Friday. This is going to be one of those weekly things you can expect to hear me talking about some kind of fragrance in some kind of way. And what I want to say Fridays for are special deals and like a fragrance of the week or fragrance of the day situation. You can expect a fragrance school 101 kicking off today as well. So I was going through the collection and I was like, what am I going to do for the first Fragrance Friday? And I actually nodded this fragrance, one of these fragrances, in my YouTube video. So again, go check out my YouTube. But I'm going to talk about a couple fragrances, a few fragrances super quick. I'm going to kind of go through just the vibe I've been on lately. So before I get into my fragrance of the week, um, I want to start by talking about my newest deal, my newest addition to the crew, to the club, to the collection. This fragrance retails for $110, and I was able to get it for $39.99 at the TJ Maxx, for which I'm grateful. But this is a great unisex fragrance for anyone who is tiptoeing into fragrance and interested in those closer to skin fragrances, those things that are not super loud, that are true unisex, that you still get longevity out of. For those clients, those people out there who have sensitive skin. If you've got sensitive skin, if you aren't big on the alcohols, can't do alcohol, main reason you can't wear fragrance, this is a good one for you. For my medical professionals, my educators, those who either work requires you wear little to no fragrance, or you choose not to wear a lot of fragrance around people that you're around due to your job, this is a great fragrance and a great brand. So let's get into it. This week I am presenting Clean Reserves Amber Cashmere. Y'all, this is a beautiful fragrance. Every time I show something on camera, I'm going to have to spray it. And you'll always see me do a pre-smell because I'm like, is there something on? I wear fragrance all day and I carry refill sprays around for the sole purpose of reapplying. Now, this fragrance from Clean Reserve is from their H2O collection. And this is a really unique collection, which is why this is great for my sensitive skinned people. Okay, this fragrance is actually formulated with water versus alcohol. So it is an alcohol free fragrance. It is perfect. Okay, I gave it a second to kind of like sit in, and then after about like another couple of seconds, we'll start picking up some of our middle notes. So let's talk about what this smells like, because when you hear amber cashmere, you know for sure there's going to be an amber note. It's going to sit probably close to the skin. It might go spicy because amber fragrances can go spicy, but this is what we've got on this one. Top notes are all elusive. You pick up on them very subtly, but this leans into the base pretty quickly. You've got rooibos tea. For those who don't know, that's a red tea, many times out of Africa. It is a lovely tea. I actually have rooibos. I love a good tea. Rooibos tea, neroli, which is orange blossom, and bergamot, a citrus, which on initial spray you do get this brightness, this bright freshness. Mid notes are daisy, magnolia, and heliotrope. So it's a total bouquet of flowers, all floral. But it's interesting because this I would not describe as a floral fragrance. For those who check out my fragrance video, I talk about fresh fragrances, those that might remind you even of water with aquatic notes, aquatic essences to them. This is a good one for that. Base notes, we're rocking amber, vanilla, and musk. And Clean Reserve is really big on how they source their Madagascar vanilla. It is fair trade. It is ethically sourced. So it's another reason that I enjoy this brand is they're very intentional with formulation and sourcing of their ingredients. This is a great one. This is a great one. Like I said, I got it at the TJ Maxx. It sits on the on the skin. It sits close, and at first it just smells almost saponic, kind of soapy, clean. The name is Clean Reserve, you know, from the brand. But it's got this freshness that reminds you of just cleanliness of a good shower, having cleaned the house and everything is clean and sparkling and you feel good about it. That's what this is in the vibe of. So Clean Reserve Amber Cashmere, my deal of the week, retails for 110. I got it for 40. I think I did a pretty good job there. I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, that's what, like 60% off? That's wild. Yeah, that's really good. And that's my TJ Maxx. Y'all check your local TJ Maxx. You never know what kind of treasures are up in there. We're going to move on to the vibe, the fragrance of the day, of the week, of the year. This is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I have a collection over 200, including travels and minis. I like to throw that in there so that people know I'm not crazy, even though I know people have larger collections than me. I'm not like buck wild with it, but I'm a little ridiculous some days in some purchases. But this is not one of those. By no means is this an example of that. This fragrance is from the brand Commodity, which is one of my favorite fragrance brands because of their approach to fragrance. They approach fragrance in a very sophisticated, um, almost intellectual way. And Commodity is known for quite a few of their fragrances, but in particular, there's one that if you've ever heard of the brand, you've probably heard of this one. And that fragrance is Milk from Commodity. This is an all-time fave. Sits in my top five, and it's probably not five. It really sits closer to one or two. Like, it's in a battle for number one with Superdose from Juliet Has a Gun. But this is by far one of my favorite fragrances. So, quick story, I was not big into gourmand sweeter scents until I met this guy. I was not big into them. I didn't like smelling sweet. I'm like, I'm sweet enough as it is. I didn't like smelling sweet. It just wasn't a thing for me. I tend to typically wear woody fragrances, fragrances with some floral notes, maybe a fruit note here and there. But at that time, it was mostly fresh fragrances and woody fragrances, things that might have a fig note or green fragrances in particular. I was introduced to Milk from Commodity and I was amazed. Let's talk about the notes. Let's talk about the composition. Top note, we're sitting with marshmallow. First of all, chokehold. Done. That got me because I don't typically like those confectionery gourmands. Those are not really my vibe most of the time. That marshmallow comes in, and I'm actually going to spray it so we can describe it as I talk about it. Okay, good. That kind of smells like amber cashmere on the top of my hand. Yeah, let's go somewhere where there's nothing. Let's go where there's nothing vibing. And I always give it a little air out. This is an alcohol based fragrance, of course. That's important to cover. Instantly, I'm getting that marshmallow. I'm getting a little toasted sesame. So, the way toasted sesame shows up in fragrance is a little nutty, maybe reminiscent of almond, maybe reminiscent of hazelnut. It doesn't smell sesame esque in the sense the way it does when we cook with it. Middle notes, we're rocking out with mahogany wood and tonka bean. So mahogany wood, I think, is part of what makes this such a unique fragrance because it does remind you to a certain degree of like a wood stack near the fireplace. Not necessarily wood burning, but a wood stack. Okay, so mahogany wood and tonka bean. Tonka bean is something you'll find in a lot of fragrances that feature some kind of vanilla. It has a vanilla essence about it. It's reminiscent of a vanilla, warm, woody vanilla to a certain degree. And then on the base, these are going to be our notes that last the longest, the things that ride with us. We've got a cold milk accord. Hello, this stays smelling like milk all day. I mean, it's this is such a good fragrance, y'all. This is if you've never smelled commodity milk, please get out. There's several retailers that sell it. I know Sephora sells it. Get out there and smell it, y'all. This is an amazing fragrance, especially for my gourmandy vanilla lovers. And then finally, Cold Milk Accord sitting with benzoin. Benzoin is another one of those fragrance notes that is reminiscent of vanilla. It's kind of nutty too. There's kind of a nutty quality, maybe a little almondy as well. But it usually sits on the base because this is a note that will ride out all day, all night. This is a fragrance I get great longevity from. It's only about 15% concentration, which would normally sit at the toilette level, but this is an eau de parfum. It is an eau de parfum. There's no question about that. And this is by far one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Now, this retails for $150 for a full size, which is this one, sitting at about 3.4. And you can't see through there for real, but I'm about a quarter of the way through this bottle. I've had it a little under a year. It's a fragrance that I'll even wear to bed. It is creamy. It's delicious. When I say delicious, there's a sexiness about smelling like this kind of milk. There's some fragrances out there. Then some of I mean, there's amazing lactonic. That's the family of fragrances. Fragrances that remind you of milk, creamy, milky fragrances. Those are lactonics. This sits in a family of some extraordinary fragrances. Bianco Latte. There is Blanche Bête. There's so many amazing milky fragrances. So this is a great addition to your collection if you love a lactonic, a great addition if you love a gourmand, if you love a vanilla. Also, here's a little trending thing. Those of you who have not smelled Valentino's newest launch, Born in Roma Rendezvous Ivory, first of all, I like her a lot. I like her a lot. For me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Born in Roma composition, the kind of classic composition that rocks out through every single one of the Born in Roma Donna fragrances. Not the biggest fan of it. There are some fragrances out of each collection, both the men's and the women's lines, that I do enjoy. From both lines, I love Coral Fantasy. It is just a phenomenal fragrance. It's just that good. Extra Dose gave me a sinus infection on the women's side, only because I'd sprayed it so many times when I first smelled it. It's a beautiful line. The Born in Roma composition just is not one that I typically go for because it is a little bit on that sweeter side with some of the same floral notes riding throughout and some of the same base notes. But it has been a huge launch, and it's leading to a lot of waste, which is a conversation for another day. But it has been a great fragrance to experience and to smell. And I was able to smell this fragrance, and there was someone who wanted to purchase this fragrance, but that location was completely sold out. And after smelling it, I said to them, I said, you want me to show something to you that's closest to it? It's not gonna have the same dry down, but it's pretty damn close as far as the milky marshmallow quality you're getting from Rendezvous Ivory in the Donna. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, come check out Commodity Milk. They have very similar marshmallow notes, marshmallow accords. It is just a beautiful fragrance. It's delicious. It really is. But Commodity Milk will always sit higher for me because that's right in my wheelhouse. And having that mahogany wood in this version is perfect because I love a wooded note. It just works well with my personal body chemistry. My body chemistry will pull incense notes, will pull wood notes very well. Even now, I'm getting the stack of wood and the cold milk and the marshmallow, and it smells amazing with those vanilla notes coming from the benzoin as well as the tonka bean. So it's great fragrance. I would definitely recommend. I put people on the Commodity Milk train. I'll tell you another thing about milk because this is Milk Expressive. If you go looking for one, it's the black bottle with the white writing, Expressive. The fragrances from Commodity, I just love their approach to fragrance. When they get into what we would consider longevities, strengths, concentrations, we talk, eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, parfum, elixir. We go through those levels and we break it down. I love how Commodity does it. Do you notice here on the bottle, there are these dots, these 5 dots. And what it says is that this is the scent space. They break longevity down into what they call scent spaces. Come on, baby, focus for me. There we go. The scent space on this one is expressive. This is for me and the many. Is it say the many? Yes, me and the many around me. So these fragrances come in 3 different spaces. The first scent space is personal for me and the person next to me, or you might have to be on, literally, physically on the person to smell the fragrance. Then you've got expressive for me and the many around me, and then you've got bold for me, and I want basically everybody gonna smell me when I walk in. I want them to know I'm here. When I pass by, I want there to be a trail. That sillage, I want it to be serious. I want them to know I'm here. Um, so that's one thing the white bottles are personal, black bottles, white writing, expressive. That would be your typical eau de parfum, maybe even eau de parfum intense in some cases. And then your black bottle, gold or kind of bronze writing is the bold space. I love also that they adjust the notes for each space. Or the placement of the notes so that it sits on the skin differently. Just a wonderful brand. Um, Now, I will say this. For those of you interested in saving a little bit of coin, there will be a part 2. I've got a part 2. Get in the comments and request a part 2 if you want me to share with you dupes and alternatives to Commodity Milk. Because I could save you a little coin if you want to learn how. All right, y'all. I thank you so much for tuning into the first Fragrance Friday and celebrating commodity milk with me. There's so many more of these to come. And again, I have a collection that's kind of wild. We're about to get into some of our fall scents, and I can't wait to share some of my absolute favorites for fall. I love y'all, and I'll smell you later. Peace.